Hey there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. And if you're new here, I always have to say that. If you're new here, I'm so glad you landed on the page. Hope you'll stick around, hit the like and subscribe button. I do majority political readings for now, but I also do new moon and full moon readings and feature pick-a-cards if those of you who enjoy those. So yeah, join me for those. Today I am doing a political reading. My background, again, if you're not familiar with me, I am a certified tarot reader, but I am also a former newspaper journalist. So I tend to approach my readings kind of like, try to get my facts straight, and then we go to spirit to get deeper insights, and more clarity around what's going on. Get a little couple of levels going on there so we can be better informed. And that's about it. I do teach workshops, and I just started, especially in the times we're living in right now, I started a monthly spiritual politics private Zoom group, right, where people can feel comfortable expressing themselves. It gives a little more privacy than if I did something here on this platform. So if you're interested, I'm going to look in the description box. My next one will be on Friday, March 7th. 7 p.m. Eastern. I have had some people on the West Coast say that makes it a little early for them. It would be 4 o'clock their time. So I may switch it to Saturdays, but for the time being, the next one will be on Friday, March 7th. Again, if you'd like to register for it, there's information on that in the description box below. I'd love to have you. All right. A couple of things that I'm going to look at, but feel like I don't really have to. I had a few people, I love your comments, I love your questions, I read my emails, etc. Had a couple of people ask me about the special elections. We have the seat in New York that has been vacated now by Elise Stefanik. The Dems put up a fight and said they were making a move to hold that seat vacant until November. It was looking like that was gaining some momentum. That would have been helpful. And then they caved, apparently, all of a sudden. They caved. Not quite sure. Maybe I should take a quick look at that, you all. Spirit, why? From what I understand, well, let me shush it. Spirit is like, look, if you're going to ask us, ask us. All right, let's take a quick look. King of Cups. King of Wands, wow. Okay, this does fit. Oh, and 2 just came out. Death, Scorpio, and the Sun. Ooh, they sure did put the kibbutz on it. Death and the Sun, like the life that it was suddenly being given. This, hey, we can actually hold that seat vacant, which would certainly help the Dems in Congress, right, in terms of that tight margin. But then it got the kibbutz with the death card coming up. So that's what happened. It happened because we got those 2 kings that I just pulled. From what I saw in news coverage, it was just an overwhelming pushback by the Republicans in the state of New York. And they said Kathy Hochul, governor, Democratic governor, apparently was decided to just sort of sit back and be neutral about the whole situation. Yeah, some people not going to be well, from what I understand, she's not a terribly popular governor anyway, but that did not help her at all. So bottom line, you all, there wasn't enough support, and the Dems just got overwhelmed. So, not looking good for special elections in New York. We have a pretty good idea of what they're going to do, especially in light of the fact that we heard what happened with Eric Adams, mayor of New York, who now, I'm going to call him Crump today. Criminal Rump. Okay. Crump. So Crump, put the wheels in motion because Adams had been kissing his behind now for a while. We saw it all play out. Not surprised that that's happened. So, but in exchange, because everything is transactional with Crump. So in exchange, Eric Adams had to basically go back to New York and give the marching orders to people under him to say, do not interfere with the ICE raids. Do not interfere with anything that this guy's doing. Do not say anything negative around this administration. That was the deal that was struck, because remember, Tish James has still been out there doing her thing as Attorney General, joining these other Attorney Generals around the United States for the lawsuits on the federal executive orders, the grant money, workers, etc. All of these cases, these lawsuits that have been cropping up. So Tish James is in the center of that, where you see these attorneys generals coalescing and filing the lawsuits. She's front and center. So he's still, Crump has got, a real burr up his butt around New York. and anything that he can do to, try and solidify his support there. So that's what happened with that. Florida special elections, people have been asking me about as well. We had 2 seats. One was, what's the guy's name? Michael Waltz. 6th district, that's like Jacksonville, Daytona area. And then, of course, Matt Gaetz, the disgraced Matt Gaetz, over in the Panhandle, Florida Panhandle. Forget about it. Panhandle is blood red. It's going to go red, period. There's some hope more around flipping the seat in that was held by Michael Waltz over in the 6th district. But you all, and I will ask Spirit, but here's what gives me sort of the ickies about that is when I looked at the numbers for the primaries in that area, only you had 40,000 Republicans come out and vote in the primary, the special election primary in the 6th district, right? You only had 15,000. 40,000 Republicans voted, 15,000 Democrats. So yes, there is, what's his name? Josh Weil. I know I wrote it down somewhere. He's a teacher, Democrat. Yeah, Josh Weil. He's a teacher, Democrat, well liked, and some decent momentum behind him as far as Democratic candidates go right now. But again, when you start crunching the numbers, it's not looking so good, you all. It's doable. It just depends on turnout. It's going to be on April 1st. So, hey, new DNC, like now's the time, right? Where are the voices? Because it really is going to be about mobilization. But I am asking strength. Thank you. Mobilization. I'm asking whether that seat in the 6th special election, 6th district has a chance. And the Hierophant. All right, Spirit is saying slow your roll, Afefe. Don't be such a pessimist. There is a chance. Right? The Hierophant, the government, very often this is a card that comes up around governmental issues because it's about establishment, traditions, etc. And we do have strength. Strength in numbers, though. It's really going to be about how the Democratic Party can get voters to the polls for that special election. Because those kind of numbers that were in the primary, that's not going to be enough to do it, you all. All right? Now, moving on. Let me just say, I know I'm a little late. A lot of people had so much to say about the Super Bowl and the halftime performance by Kendrick Lamar yesterday, Monday, a day after Fly Eagles Fly for the Eagles fans. And we know that the MAGA movement was just like, what was that? And others have been like, well, even people who didn't quite understand all of the lyrics may not be a hip hop or a rap fan, but certainly in the progressive corners, in the younger youth movements, and people who who have been hip hop fans now for over 50 years, were just delighted with the subtleties and because it was a very, very politically coded performance. Everything from the colors, everybody being dressed in that red, white, and blue, the formations of their bodies, the connection to prison issues and prison reform. I mean, he really, it's worth, if you're interested, it's worth taking a look at some of what's been written about what that performance was really about. For those who said they couldn't keep up with the lyrics, because he's a master lyricist and he's rapid fire, right? I had the good fortune of watching the Super Bowl with my daughter and son-in-law. My son-in-law is right there over my shoulder, spitting the lyrics word for word while Kendrick was going. So I had an upper hand. I was just sitting there taking it all in, bobbing. But anyway, it was a very powerful message. That said, when we're talking about the resistance movement, you all, and more we're coming to recognize Congress by itself cannot save us. The Democratic Party by itself cannot save us. It has to be this on the ground grassroots. The people, we the people, have to get involved and stay involved, which we've been doing and seeing the results with all the phone calls to congressional leaders, etc. So there's that. The other thing that I really, my heart was full, maybe many of you saw it, the pushback in Cincinnati, Ohio, this past weekend. We had these neo-Nazis, what was their name? I can't remember their name, but they showed up on a bridge in this Lincoln Heights area of Cincinnati, with these swastika flags and horrible, demeaning, written stuff on posters, etc. And the community just immediately launched into action, surrounded them. It did not. Thank you, God, thank you, Spirit, thank you, Mother, thank you, goddesses, all ancestors. It did not turn violent, but the reaction was across the board. It was white, black, everybody, young, old. It was across the board, and it was love wins. That was the message, the signage that many people showed up with. Love wins. We will not tolerate this. So those folks, somebody burned one of those flags, took it from one of the Nazi guys, neo-Nazi guys, burned it. Cops showed up, ushered them off, and everybody managed to go their own way without anybody getting hurt. But that said, I am getting a sense that now, mind you, all this is happening in whose state? JD Vance, who got all of this stuff going against the Haitians, eating the pets, right? All of that, and then turned around and said he was creating stories. But mind you, now they have Springfield, Ohio, the city of Springfield has filed a federal lawsuit against the neo-Nazi groups who helped intimidate Haitians in the area. So there is this momentum, you all, and I just want to look at this and see, is this something that we're going to see cropping up more and more? The Empress, Divine Mother, saying enough. Love wins. Love wins. Somebody's going to ask me, and I deliberately pulled this deck to read with today. This is the Modern Love Tarot. All right, Modern Love Tarot I'm reading with today. Very deliberate choice. Love wins. Love wins. And there were people out there in Cincinnati who were like, holding up, all are welcome here. And the Ten of Cups, like Spirit is being crystal clear. Ten of Cups being a card of joy and gathering and the fullness of when people come together, right? Families and communities and in cities. So I have a feeling, as conservative and as red as Ohio can be sometimes, you all, we know that Vivek Ramaswamy is positioning himself to make a pretty strong bid for governor. But there's something happening, and if it can happen in Ohio, it can happen anywhere. Queen of Swords. There's again that divine, with the star, Aquarius, air sign, the Divine Mother. And I know, again, I try to mix the woo-woo with the facts. For those of you who may want, who you need people associated with the card, like the Queen of Swords. Yes, that could be that we will see female or even gay leaders in the state of Ohio come out and really have a voice and really move things along. But this star card is also about banding together for we the people, banding together for a greater union and a greater purpose. So my question was whether we will see that multiply around different states, and yes, we will. Absolutely we will, because people need to see stories like what happened in Cincinnati, because it encourages them to say, okay, you know what, it is on us. We can't sit back and wait on somebody else to come and save us. We do have our voices. So again, applauding the people in Springfield. Somebody who participated left a comment for me. So much respect for you and the others who were there and who took action. I'm glad everybody was safe, because they just ducked their little tails and packed up their little gear and went on their way. It will not be tolerated. That said, let's stay on JD for a minute, talking about Ohio. How about Crump? We're going to call him today. Crump was on Fox with Brett Baer, I think is his name. And the question came out, hey, is JD going to be your successor? And I mean, not even a millisecond. He can, no. Yeah, no love between those two at all. And not only that, he's just not well liked. Spirit says he is not well liked even in the power circles. Yeah, he's a protege of Peter Thiel and a lot of the Project 2025 folks. They're the reason why he's there. The Silicon Valley tech bros. They're the reason why JD Vance. What's trying to flip? The Empress again. The mother wants to be heard today. Women deeply offended by him. alongside Crump. There's some sort of, talk about retribution. There's some sort of divine retribution that's lining up. It's almost as if, and there's temperance. There is, this is where different factions come together or can come together politically, because for a common cause, a common purpose. So here, think polar opposites: Democrats and Republicans, hot and cold, fire and ice, right? Two different things that have to come together or choose to come together to form something different. I think what Spirit is saying here between the Empress and Temperance, JD Vance is so disliked. He's so pompous. He has, and that's going to be how I'm going to close out my reading today. He's pissed off SCOTUS, particularly John Roberts. John Roberts got his eyes on J.D. Vance because this latest comment of his saying, ignore the courts. Courts got no power over the executive branch. We're going to do what we're going to do. And he's talked that yang before. He was talking that back while he was on the campaign trail as the VP nominee, right? Yeah. Courts got their eyes on him. He is not well liked. And that for all of the ick around Crump, that's how Crump got there. He's likable for those who buy his stuff. And in his sales pitch, they see him as very personable and likable. JD Vance is a snit and for entertainment purposes only. For entertainment purposes only. Gotta do it. Yeah, he's not well liked. Finally, I want to close off today, you all. Promised that I wasn't going to go long. John Roberts and SCOTUS. So a lot of this with the federal courts, for the time being, holding firm on making these decisions to slow down Musk and Doge and all of this, illegality, and unconstitutionality, period. Full stop, right? So the federal courts are coming out like, what are you doing? And then you get J.D. Vance coming out. Well, why do we have to pay attention to them? This is eventually, just 6 weeks ago, I knew that there was a year-end report from SCOTUS. They do issue one every year. This year, I forgot about this, you all. John Roberts, in the language of the last report, the year-end report for 2024, just 6 weeks ago, had a portion in there because he saw it coming. JD had talked this stuff before, and he said federal courts, and federal systems and decisions, judgments that are handed down must be respected, must be obeyed. So there's a showdown coming there. I want to see John Roberts. Is he going to stand his ground when some of this begins to come his way? Because it's a matter of time. Page of Wands. It's a matter of time before we're going to see some of these issues start to head towards the Supreme Court. The Wheel of Fortune. Four Swords. Knight of Wands. It's heading towards them. Page of Wands, Knight of Wands. It's coming their way. And Judgment. Ooh. Okay. All right. So it's coming their way. Some of these things that are happening at the federal court level, if they continue to try and resist it, and to the extent that then the judges of the judiciary, if I can say it, at the federal, are going to have to say, hey, if we got to bump this up, we'll bump this up. We got to make it happen, right? Supreme Court is going to be on notice. They see some of this happening. Pages are the beginning of something, and nights are when it actually ignites and goes into movement. So there is a push. SCOTUS already sees this coming. And then we had the Four Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune having to do with things have changed. And I feel like this is where, for all of their, they created this monster, SCOTUS did, with that immunity decision, right? But the wheels of justice turn, the Wheel of Fortune turns, and so they may have to go, okay, next level. Didn't mean it that way. Four of Swords. They see this coming, and Roberts et al., the justices on the Supreme Court see this coming, and they're already beginning to formulate their responses and their ideas about what they're going to do. And the final card I had in that segment is Judgment. Kind of speaks for itself. Rendering their opinions. I want to go a little deeper on this. Will the Supreme Court push back and maintain its authority as a judicial branch of government? The Eight of Cups. Oh God, didn't want to see that. That's a card of withdrawal for those who don't really read tarot. The Page of Pentacles, they're going to try and drag it out, try not to answer and avoid until they absolutely have to, but then they absolutely will have to because I've got the Chariot. So they're going to try and slow walk it. They don't want to provoke Trump because they took such a stance, and they realize as well, even in that Wheel of Fortune, it's such an about face. And remember, you've got Alito and Thomas and Gorsuch in there. These people do not care. They probably wouldn't mind. They're getting old. They wouldn't mind sitting back and having to do nothing because, let Trump do it all. Let him take it over. There's that. But it will not. That Eight of Cups, I want to go in on that. Because it can be seen as sort of withdrawing. I don't want to deal with it. Oh, and Spirit's doubling down. Eight of Swords on top of it. This is going to rip them up. Because you know what, you all? At their core, they meant what they did. The conservative justices on SCOTUS, they meant what they did. They meant this whole, conservative, extreme conservative agenda, Project 2025. They meant what they did when they gave him that immunity. They meant what they said in that decision. But now that decision is coming back, or is going to come back to bite them and their authority. Then their egos are going to get pinged. And I think the Chariot is where Spirit is saying, ultimately, they're going to step up and say, Two of Wands, exactly. No, you will not take our power. You can try and take the power away from all these other federal agencies all you want, but you are not going to take away our power. And the Six of Swords, however, and the Queen of Swords comes back again. I wonder if that's one of the women on the Supreme Court with the Queen of Cups. Okay. Don't be surprised. Keep your eyes on Amy Coney Barrett. Right? She's made a couple of surprising moves in the past already with her decisions. Because if you look at it this way, 9 justices, right? You got Alito, locked. Thomas, locked. Kavanaugh, locked. Gorsuch, locked. And then you've got Sotomayor, Kagan, Jackson, and Coney Barrett. She can lean that way a little bit. Who's in the middle? Roberts. These women, Spirit, will John Roberts side? If he's pushed, would he side with those 4 women on the court? Page of Cups and the Ace of Cups. Keep your eyes on John Roberts. Pray. Right? What do we have to lose? Pray. Right? John Roberts. Might be a really interesting dynamic that starts to develop there. Those other 4 men on the court. But John Roberts. Let's see what happens. All right, you all. I hope that was helpful. Have a great day. And I will check in with you all a little bit later. Be safe out there. Love wins. All right. Whew, chin up, shoulders back. Gotta remember to breathe. Got to remember to breathe, right? I'll talk to you real soon. Be good. Bye.